Have you ever walked into a room looking for something, and once you get there, you say, "What was I looking for?" That happens to everybody. But what happens when that escalates bigger and bigger and bigger? Alzheimer's dementia. We have a world expert on that topic, and she's from Roseville. Lori LeBay, thanks for being here.
Thrilled to be here, John.
What are some warning signs people can look for in case they feel they might have a problem?
Well, the first thing that we're told is if your situation is starting to interfere with your daily life, that's when you really need to go see a doctor. Everyone says that they lose their keys. We've all done that a million times. But when you can't retrace your steps, then it's time to maybe check into the problem. When you're showing up for appointments on the wrong date or forgetting them altogether, and that's not something that's normal for you, or you're not able to maybe do math and balance your checkbook or make change, those are significant things that are now interfering with how you used to live. Could be driving, it could be depth perception, all kinds of different things. So, you know, I always tell people, follow your gut. When you know something's wrong, do something about it. A lot of times our friends are uncomfortable with us talking about this, so they'll say, it's okay, I have the same problem. But if your gut is saying, this isn't the same as my friends, then go see a specialist. You'll have to start out probably with your general practitioner, but then ask to go to a neurologist specializing in dementia.
I have heard that one thing you should look out for is if you lose your keys, and you find them and you forget what the keys are for.
Yep, oh yeah.
That's a clear warning sign. Now, Lori is literally heard all over the world on her radio show. Tell us about that. And it's on the internet. And where are people from that listen to that?
Well, people are all over the world because it's a radio, but it's a podcast, which means it's accessible to everybody at all times, so 24/7. So I've been doing that for, probably 5 years now, and I interview people that have dementia. I interview families and loved ones that care for somebody personally, businesses that have devised a product, tool, or service to deal with that. We've had authors, we've had movie directors and actors, advocates that have biked across the country, Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts doing things. We've even had Harvard Research call us and ask to be on the show.
You might be surprised. She didn't just read about this. Lori is an expert because something happened to a family member. What happened, and what do you tell people about that? What did that teach you?
Well, we kind of jumped in the puddle together. You know, my mom started having symptoms, and she was going to her doctor, and for about 10 years they kept telling her it was hormones. You know, it was just, things were changing, and my mom would joke, this isn't my girlfriend's hormones. You know, she knew there was something off. And about 10 years later, they ended up doing some more extensive testing. And at that time, they said, hey, she's got the mentality of a 3-year-old. Don't let her out of your sight. And at that time, our hearts dropped because my mom was still extremely social. She was still driving. She was still working. She was just getting ready to retire. Though things had changed, and she knew it, and she backed off. Like one of the big signs we had was we'd go over to visit my mom, and she'd get really upset if we would change the TV channel. And what we found was, and she couldn't do it these days because the channeling changes a lot.
Yeah.
But that's how she used to tell time. So she could tell by her, and she was a Channel 4 girl, you know, who was on the news at what time of day it was. And it was pretty fascinating the more we dug into it. And, you know, all these kind of goofy behaviors that seem out of character all have a very specific reason. They make total logic to the person who's dealing with dementia.
I worked at Channel 5 for close to 17 years, and I did 2 stories on Lori, and one of them is from 1.5 miles, 2 miles away, the Memory Cafe. That's an interesting title. What is the Memory Cafe?
The Memory Cafe I'm really excited about, very proud to be part of this whole push. It actually started in the UK, and I brought it over here about 5 years ago. In fact, this fall, it'll be 5 years that we started it, and there's over 200 of them in the country, and there's probably more, but they're just hard to track because they're really, for the most part, a grassroots effort. People saying, hey, we want to make a difference. And the difference with this group is that it brings the person with dementia, early memory loss, and their care partner together because they get so isolated, friends and family pull away. So dementia pulls everyone together, but then it takes a seat in the back. And then we just talk turkey. And so, you know, there isn't an agenda because when you get together with your friends, you don't have an agenda. You just want to come and have fun and learn about what's going on in their life and support one another. And that's what we do. So we meet at J. Arthur's Coffee Shop in Roseville, right off of Rice Street, 2441 Rice Street, the second and the fourth Wednesday from 1 to 3. You don't have to call ahead. You know, you can just stop in and say, hey, we're new, we'd like to check it out. And we would love to see people. We've grown to 3 different groups that all meet at the same time. And it's amazing. They tell us that this is their way to recharge. In fact, I was talking with someone this morning who called from out of state and said they wanted to start one, but she was worried about, do they need respite? And I said no. I said this is a respite for a couple, for a family, because they've missed this gathering of friends. And so that's going to fill their soul, and that's what we hear from people all the time. And so it's not about keeping people separate and having to get recharged. It's about letting them get back to the core of their relationships again.
And Lori, one thing that impressed me, I think the most, is that it's not only for people with Alzheimer's or dementia, it's for the caregivers as well.
Yep. Yeah, the care partners need to get recharged. And sometimes I leave those meetings and they run about 2 hours and my cheeks are sore because we have laughed so hard. Other times I'm dabbing my eyes because, you know, we love one another. We've become a family. And so no matter where somebody is in the process, you know, people walk in thinking, I don't know if I want to go to this, you know. And usually by the first, if not the second, they're full-blown members. And I can put them in front of you for an interview and they're ready to talk because they're out of their shell, they don't feel alone anymore, and they feel empowered. And they're no longer embarrassed. And none of us should feel embarrassed about a disease, you know. It's about giving people a safe, comfortable atmosphere. We tell them up front as facilitators, we will not have all the answers. Nobody has all the answers. So we'll just troubleshoot this together like you would with your friends and family.
Fantastic. You are amazing in your knowledge, and you're getting better and better. And you do speaking as well, right?
Oh yeah, I speak and train around the country. So, and I have a film that I can actually premiere, a Hollywood film called His Neighbor Phil, which is the first film I've seen that really shows what a family and community go through and how it ripple effects throughout everyone, and from the discomfort to really developing a joy and helping everybody live well and dignified with this disease.
Her name is Lori LeBay, a world expert on Alzheimer's and dementia. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, John.
I'm John Gross. Thank you.